Hey everyone, Roxbox90 here with another top 10 EDH Commander card countdown. So today we're going to delve into those metamorphic scientists, the Simic Guild, blue-green color combination of an EDH Commander. And before we get to the top 10 list, the criteria, as we mentioned, is still applied, which is that we're trying to go on the list from cards that are Simic focused, but also include ones that are universal in terms of their use. They don't just have to be for a Simic deck, and also ones that are the most specific niche build to ones that are more universal. So a couple of honorable mentions. I'm not going to include every single Simic card out there, but here's some cards that didn't quite make the list but are still pretty cool. Plasm Capture. This is mana drain on steroids. Can be a lot of fun in EDH, but the rough part is it's 2 green and 2 blue and you have to hold it open, but it can definitely see play in the right deck. Coiling Oracle, very flexible utility, can be reused in many ways, and even just 2 for a 1/1 that gives you a card is worth its value. Overbeing of Myth is a 5 for a star, and he's equal to the cards in hand. The main thing is that every draw step you draw an extra card from him, but that's just pretty much all he does, and as a creature his body will be decent sized, but that's not necessarily relevant. And Trigon Predator, this card is of course a vintage master card, but it also is pretty decent in EDH. However, it's on the weaker side for utility, and it isn't necessarily one that's going to make the cut for this list. Cold-Eyed Selkie is the last of the honorable mentions. It's a powerful card in the right deck. It was used crazily with Edric when Edric was in 1v1. It's a very, very powerful card drawing engine. Of course, can work very well with other things like Rafik of the Many, but it doesn't quite make this list. So let's get to the top 10 list itself, starting off number 10 with Momer Vig Simic Visionary. He is the original guild master of the Simic, and he's an elf wizard, which makes him very tribal useful in EDH Commander. His abilities rely on a deck that is blue-green at its heart, because that's what really makes him get going, which means he is a Simic guy. But this also makes him a little narrow in terms of his use, and of course 5 for a 2/2 with nothing else going on, it makes it quite difficult to keep him alive, and that's why he's number 10. Number 9, we have Spitting Image. This is doubling clone, not doubling season. It is 6 for a sorcery. It gets a token. It's a copy of a creature, and then you can retrace it. Of course, the problem is that it's a copy of target creature, which is a little aggravating because doesn't come into play as the card type. So if the creature has hexproof, then it won't be able to target it. However, you do get a 2 for 1, so it's really like a 3 mana clone, which is not bad at all. Number 8, we have Prime Speaker Zigana. She is also Guild Lady Merfolk Wizard this time, so tribal useful. 2 green, 2 blue, and 2 is a bit rough of mana cost, but she can work obviously very powerfully as a commander because you can recast her and draw crazy cards equal to the power that she has. Of course, Flicker decks love her. She's a prime card in my Derevi Flicker deck, and she is quite useful with making 1/1 counters as well. Very flexible, fits the Simic flavor brilliantly, and can work well in a bunch of decks. Number 7, we have Biomantic Mastery. This is a 7-cost draw spell, which you don't think is all that powerful until you realize that you draw for each creature one player controls, and then draw a card for each creature another target player controls. So you pick 2 players on field, and you draw cards equal to other creatures. Most of the time, even if it's 2, 3, 4 creatures on each side, you end up drawing 7, 8, 9, who knows, 20 cards from this. And though it is incredibly expensive, which is its real drawback, it is still quite a powerful card drawing engine if used properly. Number 6, we have Void Slime. This is one of the most powerful counter spells in EDH Commander because it's really flexible. Although its mana cost is awkward, the fact that you can counter whatever you need, basically activated, triggered, or spell, makes it unbelievably powerful and fit into a million situations. Its utility is what makes it fantastic. Of course, the mana cost is a slight drawback. It's a bit hard to have the right mana perfectly open for it, but come on guys, it's an amazing, amazing counterspell. Number 5, we have Progenitor Mimic. This is a new card, fairly recent, but it is insane. The fact is, it's a clone for 6, which might not seem that great, but the fact that every single turn, if the creature is not a token, which usually you're not going to pick a token, then you get a double of it. If you start doubling up insane things like Blightsteel Colossus or Consecrated Sphinx, or you can name it, big creatures, getting one of those every single turn It's like Kyora's ultimate on steroids. This card is fantastic. Number 4, we have Mystic Snake. This card is, it may seem just like a counter spell with a creature on it, but the fact is, because it's a counter spell on a creature, it can very easily be reused, and even for a 2/2 body that can be flashed in to counter something makes it flexible as a creature. It works very well. There's a lot of synergies that allow you to reuse its counter spell, and not many creatures have this kind of effect. For such a reasonable mana cost, it's an amazing card for many decks. Number 3, we have Murk, Fiend, Leech. Not all Leeches deserve such a top tier spot, but since we're in the top 3, Murk, Fiend, Leech is a top 3 card. Other green creatures and other blue creatures get 1/1, like most of the guys, but 5 for a 4/4 is quite reasonably costed. The fact that you get to untap all green and blue creatures you control during each player's untap step, it's a slightly worse version of cards like Seaborn Muse, but guys, you gotta admit, that is an unbelievable ability. Untapping all your Simic colored creatures during every player's turn can easily be abused, plus having a double anthem, very powerful for Simic and even for decks that are not just Simic. Very strong card. Number 2, we have Edric, Spymaster, Tress, and he's not at the top of the list because you'll see it number 1, but also because he was banned in 1v1 and he is a bit difficult as a card because he's ridiculous. He's absolutely monstrously unfair. 3 for a 2/2 Elf. Elf Rogue. Elf is the main thing. The fact that whenever a creature does combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller draws a card. He is fantastically political because drawing cards in EDH is incredibly useful, and so players will negotiate with you in a multiplayer setting in order to draw the cards off of him. Most likely, the player that's coming under attack is the one that will most want to get rid of him. But as we've seen in 1v1, even if you want to get rid of him, if he is a commander card, it is absolutely unfair. And so he is banned in 1v1 as a commander, which makes sense because he was winning everything always, but he is still an unbelievable card in multiplayer. His mana cost is so flexible, he goes into so many decks, and really he's a card draw engine for you and for other people, but mostly for you, especially if you build around him. An amazing card, definite number 2. And number 1, Prophet of Kruphix. I know it's crazy. This card just was printed in Theros, but oh la la, this card is ridiculous. Really mind-blowing. If you thought Murk, Fiend, Leech was cool, this card, the fact that it untaps all creatures and lands you control, this basically resets most decks' fields every single untap step and gives your creatures flash. It's like you take Teferi and Seaborn Muse and they have a love child that is gloriously multicolored. It is so good, so flexible, fits into literally just shove it in any deck. It's a human and wizard, can work very well in tribal shenanigans. Really guys, if your deck is running blue-green in any way, this is a surefire card, and the fact that it's printed so recently, it is so good. Anyway guys, that is the top 10 Simic cards for EDH Commander. Let me know what you think about this list and your own thoughts down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, tap the like button, and if you're new to the channel, check in and subscribe. As always, Roxabox90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.